going to call up John Britton now and Stephen, and John is going to tell us about his experiences. He's going to tell Stephen for the next 15 minutes about his experiences throughout COVID. He's an F45 in Dubai, and I'm just going to switch his camera on if I can, and we should be good to go.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Cheers,
Stephen.
Kevin.
Thank you, guys. Take it away.
All right, here we go.
Hey, John. Well, listen, just before we get going, as Kevin has mentioned, so in between every single roundtable discussion here at GloCon today, we're going to turn the spotlight onto one of our own customers. There's over 4,000 of them worldwide, and they span the length and breadth of the fitness industry, from the local boot camp in your local park, to the big box gyms, to some of the fastest growing fitness franchises in the world. And one of those, of course, is F45. John, the screen gives it all away, but you work with F45 in Dubai Marina. You're the GM there. So how is Dubai right now, I suppose, first of all? Like, what's going on out there?
Yep. Well, we have F45 trained Dubai Marina, the first one in the Middle East, which has been there for 5 years. And then we did open about 2 years later, the second one in F45, Dubai Motor City. And then right now we're in the process, we're about a month out from opening our third location on Dubai's Palm, the Palm Jumeirah. So it's busy. It's been busy.
And I think, you switched off there. You brought F45 to the Middle East. F45, of course, being like a phenomenon worldwide. It's an Aussie business, obviously. How did the UAE first, I suppose, adapt and accept to it? I suppose there's a really, really strong international population there, which probably helped, right?
It is. It's a very strong international population, and it took ages for us to get off the ground and actually be profitable with our first one, simply for the fact that no one had heard of F45 5 years ago. Dubai is a very fitness focused city, but it really took a long time of just pushing F45 over and over, and then eventually it did gain some traction, and now there are 7 studios here in the UAE, so it is growing and has grown.
Awesome. You are obviously a very proud Canadian. I think we've spoken about it before. What was the biggest difference for you switching out? It's a total culture shift, right? So what was the biggest difference for you, particularly as a fitness entrepreneur, shifting out to the UAE?
Oh, well, I mean, for me, I actually never did fitness in Canada. I went straight from school. I moved to South Korea, where I was a teacher, and then I actually coached fitness in the Philippines, back in Korea, and Hong Kong before Dubai. So I've kind of actually been sort of from a further east place, and so when I came to the UAE, I found it actually a lot easier than being in South Korea or Hong Kong, where at least everyone speaks English here, which makes it a bit easier. But that being said, I mean, we have some other issues where, for a long time we held an only women's class because, there are covered women here who would come in and then they could take off their stuff when all the windows are closed and everything. So there are certain things here where you get a lot of cultures mixing because Dubai is such a multicultural city.
So Dubai flew out of the blocks this year. I think it was one of the fastest vaccine rollouts at the start of the year, right? And that probably allowed you to get back into studio a lot quicker than some other parts of the world. How did you initially adapt during COVID though? Like, what was the first thing that happened for you when the world started locking down in March of last year?
Yeah, so in March, Dubai was one of the first places to actually lock down and close all businesses, which, we thought the roof was falling and we thought it was crazy. And, but, we took it step by step, and then we realized that, we got to get online classes going. We were one of the first ones in this city to get Zoom going. And then, we did things around the city here, a lot of calls every single day, just calling our members, checking in. How are they doing? Are they okay? Can we help with anything? Even to the point where we got t-shirts made up, and me and my coaching staff, we went around everyone's house and just delivered them and said, hey, you guys have done great. Here's a t-shirt. We called it the quarantine, which a little cheesy, and we just kept in contact constantly, checking in, and each coach had their own list of members. And that was it, is just making sure that, people remember us. They know we're here, we're there for them. And then it was also good because they realized we, as staff, we're also struggling a bit with the lockdown. And then when we did open our doors 3 months later, we were flying.
So you were probably in a lucky position compared to a sort of an owner operator standalone business as well, as part of a huge franchise network globally. There's over 2,000 locations in the F45 family now. Was there like a sort of a global shift across the network? Was the resources deployed at franchise level that sort of trickled down to you as a franchisor and allowed you to adapt as well?
Yeah, and that's where we're lucky with F45, and we have so much back end technology. We have the screens and all that, and then the workouts are all done. They're pushed out digitally, and then F45 adapted quickly where they came out and they were able to push that to members through their challenge app. And then that helped us as well, where we could load it up on our screens and we could use that to follow along in Zoom sessions, which I think, I don't think that was seen by anyone else worldwide.
Yeah, it definitely, the F45 challenge app, I suppose, as well, was pretty unique, and it allowed things to flip, to digital very, very quickly overnight. I mean, coming back in sort of this post-COVID world, and you just mentioned you're opening, you're opening a new location of the iconic, the Palm in Jumeirah, which we'll come to in a second. But like, do you see a future in hybrid, or for you, is it all about getting back into studio, or where's your head at right now?
So, I mean, we're lucky because, yeah, here in Dubai, it's open. It's fully open. They're, in the top 4 or 5 vaccinated countries in the world. And this is a tourist hub where, this city relies on tourism. So we don't imagine them ever shutting down again. We don't imagine them locking down. And our overall experience has been, the online classes were great when we did them. People came back in the studio and they just went, oh yeah, I get it now. We have the music pumping, we have the coaches in your face, and we did run both in studio and online for a while, but people just got back in the studio, and that's where they are.
Awesome. So there's no hybrid approach at the moment out in the UAE. So obviously you're into a sort of post-COVID world now out there. You just touched off it a second ago. You're weeks out from opening the brand new location, which is opening on Glofox, which is awesome. Tell me, I suppose, like, what advice can you share with other fitness business owners that are about to launch a studio in this post-COVID world? Like, what challenges have you been coming up against, for example?
Yeah, we're lucky because we've been out of lockdown for over a year now. And that's a really tough question to answer, other than the fact that you just got to stick to, the things that make any business good, any customer service based business, where it's just, hey, get your leads in, reach out to them, reach out to them, stay in contact with them constantly. And we found that's what makes us successful, is just that constant outreach. And we find that clients just find, if you care and you're constantly just putting that effort in, they seem to keep sticking around. That's our experience with it.
And F45 obviously has quite a strong pre-sale model, and across the network with any studio you work with, there's a very strong sort of ramp up period as you get closer to launch. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about the pricing and membership strategy in pre-sales, and how that works for you, and how you specifically adapt it to Dubai?
Yeah, with our third studio here, our issue we're running into is the fact that we want to open up our new studio and give tiered pricing for the pre-sales. But we also have, between our 2 other studios, about 400 to 500 members. And they look at that and they go, well, since we can use all 3 studios, can I maybe do that tiered pricing? So we're not going into it as hard as we'd like to, just because we don't want to, devalue the members we have at our other studios. But that being said, it is good because now with this new studio opening, sign up with us now, and you do have 2 other studios that are somewhat close by you can use until we open. So we expect our newest studio to just come off come up running fast. And then just the fact that with Glofox, it is very easy to switch between the 3 locations. For the members that have done that, it's a very seamless, easy integration for us.
Awesome. want to flip to a couple of questions before we wrap, John. One is from Blair, who's just asked, in the UAE, how as an industry are operators uniting, connecting and engaging with each other and with the government to be seen as part of the public health solution rather and well-being going forward? Do you think, the UAE, and do you think the sort of the unity between fitness businesses is more progressive there than in North America, for example, or where do you think the whole industry is at over there?
Really tough to say. It really depends on who you speak to. As a manager and someone who's been here for 8 years, I know so many people in this industry who I'm really good friends with. A lot of my best friends are in the industry, so certain ones get along. Where that being said, we're down the hallway in our Marina location from Barry's boot camp, and we don't deal with them whatsoever. So it depends on the personal relationships there. And where, what we found is people look at us as the sort of the big dog, considering we have 8 or 7 locations around Dubai. So not as many are too keen with us, where maybe some of the smaller ones do collaborate a little bit more.
The one that I have here from Buddy, John, is what would you estimate the penetration level percentage-wise to be for the fitness industry in Dubai? Obviously, the 7 or 8 F45s out there. Is there still plenty of investor and franchisees opportunities out there in the region, in your opinion?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think with 7, we're still scratching the surface, because Dubai is a place with, I want to say we're 4 million people or so. So there is room to grow here. And then the other thing about Dubai is people don't love to drive too far. So certain areas, there's still tons of room for expansion here. And even the whole Middle East, I mean, I believe you're going to see just more fitness franchises coming in more and more, especially like, if you know anything about Saudi Arabia right now, but as they become more open to foreign investment and foreigners, I think that place is just going to explode. And
it's actually, for us, we've seen a lot of interest in Saudi Arabia recently as well. So I think I could sort of echo that sentiment, John. Just a final one, already at time, unfortunately, but just one last one for me, I suppose. And just to sort of pick and choose at some of this, but how much consistency do you think there was with F45 across, across the online and the in-studio experience? Like, is there unity between all the owners in terms of delivering the same package online and experience in studio, or what do you think is the best approach there?
It does sound like, for the most part, people have gone back to the studio, but this depends on where you are and what the rules are for your location. I don't know of anyone doing online classes still in the UAE, but I have friends back in Canada that are still doing it. And so it's really such a location-based thing, and depending on what your situation with your government is and your restrictions, for sure.
Awesome. Well, listen, unfortunately, John, we're going to have to leave it there. That was a really, really good 15 minutes. I really appreciate the insight you brought to us there. And obviously, best of luck as well opening in the iconic Palm at Jumeirah Beach. John, thanks a million for joining us.
Appreciate it, Stephen. Thank you.